Hi, my name is Lolo. I'm the creatress of Onward, Which and Beyond.com. So you can check me out there. And what I practice is holistic personal training. And what that means is we have movement, meditation, nutrition, and herbal astrology all blending in together. So we look to the stars, we look to our plant allies, we look to our emotions, we look to the different cycles and chapters of our life, and we blend that in with nutrition, with movement, and with meditation. That said, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 25 years old. I'd had numerous episodes prior to that. I was peripherally blind and paralyzed on my left side, and I have since then been able to heal it. And one of the tools that I used, there's a plethora, there's never just one magic pill, was tapping, or EFT, emotional freedom technique. So that's what I'm here to show you today, is EFT, because it changed how I do things. And I usually open up I can say almost every single one of my private training sessions with tapping, because it stimulates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is one of our cranial nerves, and it's called the wandering nerve because it travels from the brain all the way down to the gut. And when you stimulate this nerve, now you can have overstimulation, but when you stimulate this nerve, because most people's is, for lack of a better term, I'll call it sleepy. So it will help to release and feel the rest and digest in the body, rather than feeling the stress and, fight or flight. So when that happens, you actually reduce inflammation within the body. And they use this, an electric stimulator for the vagus nerve, to help those with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, and those with epilepsy. So when they stimulate it, you can stop a seizure, oftentimes. And when you have rheumatoid arthritis and you stimulate this with an external electrical pulse to the nerve, then you can reduce inflammation, and you have a really good day, a functioning day. So when we stimulate it without an electric stimulation, what we do is we're going to be tapping on various meridian points. Now you can stimulate the vagus nerve through cold water immersion, cold water plunging, through humming, and breathing techniques. So there's some beautiful ways to stimulate it, but what we're going to be doing today is using acupressure on varying meridian points. So this is a sequence that you'll do. And oftentimes, EFT was created so that you could get extremely present. And that also helps to cause rest and digest in the body, because when you're stressed out or having a panic attack, I've used this on a lot of people with PTSD and anxiety and all of these things. I've used it on my children. I've used it on pets. I've used it after people who've had car accidents, been a witness to one, and was able to help. So what you're doing with this sequence, you can use words. I like to just use tapping in the beginning, but you can also use words. And you always want to identify what it is that's bothering you. So oftentimes you'll hear people say, oh, I love a clean house. That's great, but you have to see what the dirt is to clean, right? So what we like to do in the body is identify it. We don't dismiss it, like we don't jump right to a positive statement. It's okay to say I'm not okay. It's okay to be like, this is shit. So what we're going to be doing is I'm just going to tap with you first, and then we'll use some statements, and then we'll move it on. So what we're going to do first, what you're going to do is take your fingertips here, and it's pressure. We're not banging the hell out of ourselves, but we're also not just feather, okay? So we're putting just a little bit of pressure. I'm going to start with our karate chop point here. Good. Remember to breathe. Crown of the head here. Excellent. Then we're going to go to the inside of the eyebrow, to the outside of the eyebrow, and under the eye, and under the nose. Good. Under the mouth. Collarbone. Good. And under the arm. And I should tell you, it does not matter which side you do, or even if you switch midway, doesn't matter. So we're going to go back another round, and we can say things as we're doing this, always remembering to breathe. I'm present right now. I'm not okay in this moment. This is bothering me right now. I can hear the TV and it's irritating me. Under the nose, good. Under the mouth, but I'm present. I'm safe, and I'm okay. Collarbone. I'm good. And then lastly, I just run through, and this is super basic. If you want it more tailored, work with me privately. This is super basic, but it works too. I am present. Karate chop point. I am present. Crown of the head. Good. Breathing. I am present inside of the eyebrow. Excellent. I am present outside of the eye. I am present. Excellent. I am present under the nose. Breathing. I am present under the mouth. Good. I am present. Collarbone. I am present under the arm. Excellent. So, if things are a little bit crazy in your life, or maybe there has been something that caused some kind of trauma or drama, one of the quickest ways that you can stimulate the vagus nerve and really just to have that rest and digest kind of go through the body, help the body to calm down, is using your two hands and coming right here and tapping right at the collarbone. Good. This also helps moving things through the lymph system. So oftentimes I will use, like I had a client this morning, we used facial massage, lymph node massage, just for the upper part here. And we also use tapping. Another one that you could do is tap your knees. So you'll be here, just getting yourself to your present, okay? All of these things are wonderful tools to add into your movement practice and to your meditation practice. And if you've never meditated, there's so many varying forms of meditation. And you can have, I've even taught, and I'm sure people have heard this, it was a practice in Japan, which is Shinrin-yoku, which is forest bathing. So essentially it's walking meditation. As you take in and are very present with what is going on around you, rather than shutting everything out, you're connecting yourself to all of it. So when I say meditation, a lot of people think of people just sitting or, making various hand gestures, the mudras. And that's one form of meditation. But really meditation is about tuning in with self, about tuning in with your body. About tuning in with values and things that are going to help you make the best decisions in your life. And when you're clouded and running all around and looking for opinions or answers outside of yourself, it makes it hella hard trying to navigate your own damn life. So it's kind of like stay in your lane and do what's necessary for you. And the way to do that is to be quiet, to be still, to connect, because we're not separate from nature. We're not separate from one another. There is a connection with all of us. And it's not humans versus this. We've made it that way, right? But how are we tuning in? How are we fitting into our environment? And we can fit in by best being ourselves. And it's best to know yourself when you can tune in with yourself. So tapping is a wonderful way to really get present and drop down into the body. I've used tapping. I worked with a lot of clients with neurological disorders. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. It's up for debate if it's just neurological or if it's also vascular. But I've worked with clients with multiple sclerosis and also heavy clientele with stroke, after stroke. Tapping has always helped because oftentimes when you've had a disease or some kind of trauma that's happened, the body starts to perceive movement as another form of stress because it remembers how things were, it remembers the trauma, and it holds on to that, especially in the fascia. So, and that's the connective tissue around your muscles, kind of like the spider web of if you've ever played telephone, that's how the body is. And it can get misconstrued when you've had disease or an injury. That said, when we use tapping, and I've seen clients, I have one in particular, he was probably the worst I've ever seen. And I really had to sit down and ask Spirit if he was a client that I really wanted to take on And I just heard a resounding yes. And I did, and within a month's time, he was dancing again, and he had one of the worst strokes ever. And he'd been working with doctors for over a year, and we accomplished more in 2 sessions, really in one session. And he even said this: how did I how was I able to do as much as I did today when I've been working with doctors and physical therapists and we haven't been able to do this? And I attribute it pretty much all to vagus nerve and breathing. And it was because his body was starting to perceive movement. He was wanting to go, 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 because that's how he was before his stroke. And he was also, like a pilot and a dance instructor and did all this stuff. And he never really dropped down into the body. He was just telling the body what to do. And the body had a different agenda and was willing to work with him if he was willing to listen. And so it was a lesson for him. So every time we started to move, his body would start to tense up, and it would just stop working, and his hand would curl up and his toes would curl up. And then after 2 sessions, of every time that started to happen, we would stop and we'd tap and we'd breathe. They would relax. And by the third session, he was on a Bosu ball, like a balance board trainer, and we were throwing a football. Now, most people were like, "You're crazy to put him on that." I'm like, yeah, but his body's capable. When his body is told that there's an infinite possibility and that we're okay, it starts to work with you. But you have to listen, because if it wasn't ready, it wouldn't have done it. So that's me being intuitive, reading the signs, and him listening to his body and trusting that. So EFT tapping is a powerful tool. I use it in meditation. So if you want to work with me privately, all sessions are virtual. They can be pre-recorded or they can be live. I do them through Zoom, and this is before COVID happened. Also, you can do my monthly membership, as I mentioned. And you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And I would love if you would subscribe. It helps get me in the algorithm as we build my business up, supporting me as I balance home life and work life, just doing my calling, my purpose of holistic personal training, while also being a mom of 5. 2 of them I'm solo parenting, and it's a beautiful thing in homeschooling. So hit subscribe, hit like, leave me a beautiful comment down below. Be nice. And then stay tuned, hit the bell so you can get the notifications of when things come up. And I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and I hope it helps. I would love to hear down in the comments, if you've tried it or if you have any questions, and I'll talk with you soon. Peace, guys.